You may never have even heard of ham radio, also known as amateur radio, but after you hear this story, you'll be glad they're out there. 23 ABC's Mark Christian explains how amateur radio operators communicate and why that hobby could be vital for safety.
They're called amateur radio operators, but the word amateur is an understatement.
These guys are not amateurs. A lot of these guys, it's a hobby, but it's something they're very involved with.
They have to go through training to get their FCC licenses. It's a hobby that brings them a lot of joy.
It's like a little boy in a candy store, and you're having fun.
Joe El Luki has fulfilled a lifelong dream when he became a ham radio operator. He says it's a hobby that's given him continued purpose to live.
I think a lifesaver to me because I'm a workaholic. I worked all my life in the Marine Corps for almost 35 years and AT&T for almost 40 years, and then I retired.
And it's a hobby that could save other lives too. Increasingly over the years, many emergency communication centers throughout the country have relied upon the ham operators during times of crisis.
And they can provide communications when all other forms of communications go down. RACES can still communicate.
RACES stands for Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service and has been called to action during events like Hurricane Katrina, where there was massive power failures, and the Boston Marathon, where
law enforcement agencies determined very early that those bombs were detonated by cell phones, so they turned all the cell phone stations off.
Amateur radio operators were already on scene. They coordinated evacuations and assisted emergency communications, and they're also not dependent on commercial power supply.
We roll on a moment's notice, and I have a lot of handhelds here I could take with batteries.
The Kern County Emergency Operations Center received a Homeland Security grant to purchase equipment and are currently constructing a permanent spot at the center for the group to operate during times of crisis.
Just a power failure isn't going to take us out because we have redundant power. But if we were to have a massive earthquake and, say, phone lines were down,
ham radio could be the last-ditch effort to communicate. The group of volunteers would activate to assist emergency services.
A RACES operator here at the EOC. We could have one at the incident. We could have one, say, at public health.
Mark Christian, 23 ABC.